Good evening, everyone. I am Daniela Maridi Araha from BE Ed 1. So, for today, I am going to discuss our lesson 2 in art appreciation entitled Creativity, Imagination, and Expression. But first, let's have our learning outcomes. First, we should be able to differentiate art from nature. Second, we should be able to characterize artistic expression based on personal experiences with art. Third, discuss the nature of art's preliminary expressions. And four, categorize works of art by citing personal experiences. So now, let us proceed to our discussion. It is said that it takes an artist to make an art. We all perceive beautiful things around us every day. However, not all beautiful things that we can see or experience is a true work of art because an art is a product of man's creativity, imagination, and expression. So, kahit anong ganda ng sky sa umaga, ng sunset sa hapon, ng mga stars sa gabi, kahit na anong ganda ng forma ng bundok, gaya ng Mount Mayon, kahit anong ganda ng tanawin sa Bohol, sa Chocolate Hills, it will never be an art. And even photographs and sketches of the nature. Kahit na nakapture ito at dinrawing ng isang tao, it is not an art, but a mere recordings of the beauty of nature, according to Collins and Riley, 1931. Because an art is made by man, and an artwork may be inspired by nature or other works of art, but an artist invests his own forms and patterns due to what he perceives as beautiful and incorporates them in creating a masterpiece. So sabi dito, ang isang artwork can be inspired by nature and iba pang art. But ang pinopoint dito is an artist should think how to include or incorporate them in their own piece, in their own ways. So we all have the ability to distinguish what is fine, beautiful from what is not and what is good quality and from poor. Like for instance, kapag nag-shopping tayo, mas pinipili natin yung mas maganda, mas ina-examine natin ang isang bagay at doon tayo mag-go-go o yun ang bibilihin natin kung alin yung maganda ang quality. Ganon din sa arts. So, dyan papasok yung tinatawag nating art appreciation. So, next, let's have art appreciation as a way of life. So, Jean-Paul Sartre is a French philosopher of the 20th century. He described the role of art as a creative work that depicts the world in a completely different light and perspective, and the source is due to human freedom, from Green, 1995. So, inilarawan niya na ang art ay isang gawaing sining na naglalarawan o nagpapakita ng ating mundo sa kakaibang anggulo. Sinasabi nga na lahat ng art ay merong natatanging ganda, may kanya-kanyang unique na beauty. So, lahat rin ng artist ay gustong ma-perceive ng viewers nila ang ganda ng kanilang art based on how they view it. But not all people can notice or see the beauty of an art. It because some lacks at sense of appreciation. Dahil dito, maraming artwork ang nagre-remain unnoticed. The artist received no appreciation for what what he have made. So, therefore, refining one's ability to appreciate art allows him to deeply understand the purpose of an artwork and recognize the beauty it possesses. From Collins and Riley, 1931. So, mahalagang mahasa natin ang sense of appreciation natin sa art so that, like, for instance, we are going to a museum, theater, or buildings with great wall paintings. We can easily understand the purpose of it and appreciate its beauty and the artist's hard work in making it if we have the sense of appreciation within us. So, sabi nga, in cultivating an appreciation of art, one should also exercise and develop his taste for things that are fine and beautiful. So, learning to appreciate art, no matter what vocation or profession you have, will lead you to a fuller and more meaningful life, according to Collins and Riley 1931. Why? It is because we are able to appreciate even small things that considered an art. We are able to give meanings to beautiful things or work of art that surrounds us. Next, we have the role of creativity in art making. So, creativity requires thinking outside the box. It is often used to solve problems that have never occurred before, conflate function and style, and simply make a life a more unique and enjoyable experience. So, sabi dito, kailangan mong mag-isip ng sarili mong idea. Kailangan mong mag-isip outside the box. You need to go beyond your imagination. So, creativity is what sets apart one artwork from another. So, dito papasok yung originality. Original dapat, unique, sarili mong gawa o sariling gawa ng artist, yung isang artwork. Because an artist embraces originality, put his own flavor into his work, and calls his own masterpiece or creative piece. Pero nowadays, mahirap. Being creative is challenging. Kasi nga may mga pandemic, may mga nagiging hindrance para makapunta tayo sa mga lugar na pwede nating maging inspirasyon para tayo ay makagawa ng isang artwork o para makagawa ng isang artwork ang isang artist. So, minsan nga, akala mo unique yung idea mo, but when you do extensive research, minsan meron na palang nag-e-exist na idea from other country, from other artists, and different time frame. So, one of these example is the campaign ad ng Philippines na It's More Fun in the Philippines. Pinlagiarize ito sa Switzerland na tourism slogan na It's More Fun in Switzerland in 1951. Pero, the former Department of Tourism Secretary Ramon Jimenez Jr. claimed that it is accidental. Coincidence lang. So, kailangan nating tandaan na para maiwasan natin yung ganitong scenario o yung ganitong situation, kailangan nating magkaroon ng careful research na aligned sa gagawin nating art or kahit anumang project para ma-avoid natin yung ganitong scenario. So, now let's have art as a product of imagination, imagination as a product of art. So, sa tingin nyo, saan kumukuha ng idea ang mga artist kapag gagawa ng art? Saan nagmumula ang paggawa nila ng creative solutions, ang mga plano para makagawa ng art? So, sabi dito, famous writers, painters, and musicians get their ideas and making creative solutions starts in the human mind. It all begins with imagination. So, look at the example. Sabi ng isang tao, maybe someday I can invent a machine that will take us instantly to any place in the universe we want to go at the speed of thought. So, he uses his own imagination to perceive the things he wanted to do. He visualizes what it looks like and the function of it. So, yun yung imagination na visualize niya. So, let's have Albert Einstein. He is a German physicist who had made significant at the major contributions in science and humanity, demonstrated that knowledge is actually derived from imagination. So, sabi niya, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we know now and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there will be to know and understand. So, basically, sabi niya, mas importante ang imagination sa knowledge kasi daw yung knowledge limited sa kung ano lang yung alam natin, so may hangganan. Samantalang ang imagination ay may matutuklasan tayo na mga bago, may mga malalaman tayo na bago. May mga malalaman tayo na matutuklasan na bago through the use of imagination. So, sabi nga, art as a product of imagination, imagination as a product of art. So, art as a product of imagination, meaning through imagination, we can make an art. Then, imagination as a product of art, like for instance, when we see a certain artwork that we suddenly fell in love with, through the art, we can imagine different things and somehow we can imagine making art in relation with it. So, sabi nga, through imagination, one is able to craft something bold, something new, and something better. Gamit ang imagination, makakagawa ang isang tao ng bago at mas magandang bagay or artwork or craft. Then, imagination allows endless possibilities. So, walang hangganan ng imagination. Hanggat kaya mo mag-imagine, go. Walang limitless. Wala siyang limit. So, according to Collingwood, 1938, an artwork does not need to be a real thing, but can be something that is imaginary. So, ang example niyan is yung katulad ng musicians na nag-iisip ng tono ng isang kanta or ng isang music sa kanyang mind or sa kanyang head. So, the making of this tune in his head makes it an imaginary tune, an imaginative creation, an imaginary art. So, magre-remain yun na imaginary until maham niya na or makakanta niya na or makompose niya na yung isang music. So, however, something imaginary does not necessarily mean it cannot be called an art. Artists use their imagination that gives birth to reality through creation. So, sabi ko nga kanina, artists use their imagination that gives birth to reality through creation. It is also said that art also inspires imagination. Bakit? So, imagine nyo na lang yung sarili nyo. Nandyan sa kwarto na yan. Pure white lang, blanco lang yung nakikita nyo. May inspire ba kayo na mag-imagine ng mga kulay na maaari nyong magawa bilang art, 'di ba? Hindi kasi nga ayan lang yung nakikita natin. Hindi nakaka-inspire or boring siya. So hindi tayo mai-inspire or hindi tayo maaano na mag-imagine. So our desires to be surrounded by beautiful things was present on the dates back to our ancestors. So dati pa lang daw meron na tayong kagustuhan or meron na tayong desires sa mga beautiful things, sa mga colorful. So, dyan papasok itong cave wall painting sa it is surrounded by the drawings and paintings of the animals that our ancestors hunted. So, it was sourced from Thomas Quinn, or the cave paintings, the cave wall paintings. So, kapag yun ang nakikita natin, may inspire tayo, syempre, kasi makakakita tayo ng creation ng iba na creative sila. So, tayo, sa ating sarili, may inspire tayo. Magkakaroon tayo ng mas malawak na imagination when it comes sa colors, sa mga medium na gagamitin. So, ayun. Kaya sinabing art also inspires imagination. So, next, art as expression. So, sometimes we felt something going on with us, but we try or want to explain it, but we really don't know how. So, sometimes we relieve it through shouting or living in excitement. Sabi nga, an emotion will remain unknown to a man until he expresses it. So, let's have Roving George Collingwood. He is an English philosopher who is best known for his work in aesthetics, explicated in his publication, The Principle of Art in 1938, that What an artist does to an emotion is not to induce it, but express it. Sabi niya, through expression, he is able to explore his emotions and at the same time create something beautiful out of them. Like for instance, yung mga musicians, yung mga sculptors, yung mga painters na na-express nila yung emotion nila through doing art. Katulad pag musician, gagawa sila. Kapag malungkot sila, gagawa sila ng sad song. Kapag masaya sila, ay di yung mga party song. Kapag paintings naman, kapag masaya ang painter, ay di ma-colorful. Kapag malungkot, yung mga cold ang kulay, mga blue, violet, black, white, yung mga ganon. So, sabi niya nga sa example niya, kapag sinabi ng isang tao na, I am angry, so hindi yun expression, but a mere description. Because description actually destroys the idea of expression as it classifies the emotion, making it ordinary and predictable. Meaning, dinidescribe mo lang kung ano yung nararamdaman mo. But expression, on the other hand, individualizes. So, an artist has freedom to express himself the way he wants to. Yun. Kasi daw, yung description, mere ano lang, dinidescribe mo lang. There is no need in relating or referring to a specific emotion such as anger in expressing one's emotion. Kasi sabi niya, expression individualizes. An artist has freedom to express himself the way he wants to. Hindi yung sasabihin niya lang na, I am angry, yung ganun. I am happy. Hindi daw yun yung expression. Yun daw ay description. There are countless ways of expressing oneself through art. The following slides includes but is not limited to popular art expressions. So first we have visual art. So creations that fall under this category are those that appeal to the sense of sight and are mainly visual in nature. So visual arts are kind of art form that the population is most likely more exposed to, but its variation are so diverse. They range from sculptures that you see in the museum to the last movie you have watched. So, yan. Kaya nga sinabi na visual art. Visual meaning sense of sight. Makikita mo siya. Sabi nga, diverse ang visual art. Kasi, maaari siyang sculpture hanggang sa movie na napanood. So, merong example or mediums of visual arts, and these are the paintings, drawings, letterings, printing, sculptures, digital imaging, etc. So, one of these example is this painting of John Lafarge, the Camellia in Old Chinese based on black lacquer table. So, yan ang example ng visual art, paintings. Kasi kalimitan pag sinabi natin visual art, agad natin na pumapasok sa isip natin is paintings. Kasi nga, it appeals to the sense of sight rather. Pero, lagi natin tatandaan na diverse ang visual art. So, the second one we have film. So, film refers to art of putting together successions of still images in order to create an illusion of movement. So, it focuses on its aesthetic, cultural, and social value and is considered both an art and an industry. Industry kasi like for instance sa Philippines, one of the huge industry we have is filmmaking industry. So, filmmaking stimulates experiences or creates one that is beyond the scope of our imagination, as it aims to deliver ideas, feelings, or beauty to its viewers. So, filmmaking is complex, malawak ang filmmaking. There are also techniques in filmmaking process. These are motion picture camera, or also known as movie camera, animation techniques, and computer-generated imagery, or CGI. So the third one, we have performance art. It is a live art, and the artist's medium is mainly the human body, but it also employs other kinds of art such as visual art, props, or sounds. Sabi dito, it also involves the artist medium is mainly the human body, which means ito yung ginagamit nila sa pagko-convey o pag-express ng isang art. So, there are four important elements in performance art. These are the time, place, performer's body, and the relationship between the audience and the performer. So, yung time, kailangan timely. Kailangan sila ay magpe-perform kapag alam nila na syempre marami ang manonood. And place, sa place, kailangan discoverable yun. Madaling ma-discover ng kahit mga taong nagpa-passing by lang. Tapos, yung performer's body, syempre, yun ang pinaka-importante kasi yun ang magko-convey ng art kasi yun ang kanilang mainly na ginagamit. And the relationship between the audience and the performers, yung kung paano ang parang sinasabi nga ng audience impact, yung relationship between sa kanila, yung appreciation ng audience sa ginagawa ng performer. Tapos, sabi pa nga, this cannot be bought or traded as a commodity. Unlike dun sa nauna nating mga na-discuss na art expressions, yung visual art at saka yung film na maaari tayo nating ipagbili or maaari nating i-trade. Ito, hindi. So, sabi nga, performance art is an artwork or an art exhibition created through action executed by the artist or other participants. It may be live, through documentation, spontaneously or written presented to a public, also known as artistic action. So, ayun, it is presented live. So, the fourth one, we have poetry performance. So, poetry is an art form where artist expresses his emotions not by using paint, charcoal, or camera, but expresses them through words. So, yun. Ine-express ng isang artist ang kanilang emotion through words. These words are carefully selected to exhibit clarity and beauty and to stimulate strong emotions of joy, anger, love, sorrow, and the list goes on. It uses a word's emotional, musical, and spatial values that go beyond its literal meaning to narrate, emphasize, argue, or convince. So the words are combined together with movements, tone, volume, and intensity of the delivery to add to the artistic value of the poem. Kasi, di ba, kung mapapansin natin sa mga nag-spoken poetry, halos yung iba maiyak-iyak, mangiyak-ngiyak na sa pagko-convey ng kanilang poetry kasi nga, damang-dama nila, yun ang nararamdaman nila noong ginagawa nila yung kanilang poetry. And so, habang dinideliver nila, kailangan in character pa rin sila. Ayan. So, the fifth one, we have architecture. So, art is pursuit and creation of beautiful things, while architecture is the making of beautiful buildings. But, kung mapapansin natin, hindi lahat ng buildings ay beautiful. Yung iba, itinayo lang para sa function nila, like for instance, company building. But the structure, lines, forms, and colors are not beautifully expressed. So, hindi sila considered na architecture. So, tingnan niyo yung example. So, ayan. Kailangan, mako-consider mo ang isang bagay na architecture kung balanced ang lines, colors, and the paints or the designs to complete the masterpiece. Building should employ these three important elements, which are the plan, construction, and design, which is observable naman dito sa ating example. Halata namang pinagplanuhan yung construction, tsaka may mga design siya sa ceilings and sa wall. Next, we have dance. So, dance is a series of movements that follows the rhythm of the music accompaniment. So, matagal nang pinagtatalunan kung ang dance ba is a art form, but here we primarily describe dance as a form of expression. So dancing is a creative form allows people to freely express themselves. So it has no rules. So lahat ng steps pwede as long as may express mo yung sarili mo. So dancers are free to create and invent their own movements as long as they deem them gracefully and beautifully. Next, we have literary art. So, artists who practice literary arts use words to express themselves and communicate emotions to the readers. So, yan, gumagamit din ang mga artists sa literary art ng word para ma-convey ang kanilang nararamdaman. So, literary art goes beyond the usual professional, academic, journalistic, and other technical forms of writing. Hindi porket nagsulat ka ng several successions of sentences in meaningful manner ay considered na yun as literary art. Kasi sabi nga, it goes beyond the usual professional, academic, journalistic, and other technical forms of writing. So, literary art focuses on writing using unique style and not following a specific format or norm. So, walang basihan kung hanggang saan, kung ilang page, kung ang intention ba, ganon. So, literary art can be fiction and non-fiction, such as novels, biography, and poems. So, some of the example of literary art is the works of William Shakespeare and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Yung work ni William Shakespeare na Romeo and Juliet and yung kay Antoine na The Little Prince. So, ayan. Yung mga example ng literary art. Second to the last, we have theater. So, theater uses live performance to present accounts or imaginary events before a live audience. So, it usually follows script, but it is not considered literary art because it is much like filmmaking because it uses live performance to present accounts or imaginary events before a live audience. So, theater also considers several elements such as acting, gesture, lighting, sound effects, musical score, scenery, props, and audience and performers relationship. So the combination of these elements is what gives the strongest impression on the audience, and the script thus becomes a minor element. So similar to performance art, since theater is also a live performance, the participation of the viewer is an important element in theater arts. Kasi yung reaction ng iyong audience or ng iyong viewer ang magbibigay sa'yo ng energy sa pagpa-perform. Like for instance, kapag na-enjoy ng mga viewer or ng audience mo ang performance mo, syempre matutuwa sila. So, lalo kang gaganahang mag-perform. So, some of these genres in theater art is drama, musical, tragedy, comedy, and improvisation. So, the last one we have is applied arts. So, Applied arts is all about incorporating elements of style and design to everyday items with the aim of increasing their aesthetic value. Artists in this field bring beauty, charm, and comfort into many things that were used in everyday life. So basically, the applied arts are all the arts that apply design and decoration to everyday and essentially practice objects in order to make them aesthetically pleasing. The term is used in distinction to the fine arts, which are those that produce objects with no practical use, whose only purpose is to be beautiful or stimulate the intellect in some way. So there are some example of applied arts, and these are interior design, industrial design, graphic design. So before I will end this presentation, let us have a quick review. So first, art is the product of man's creativity, imagination, and expression. So artist invents his own forms and patterns due to what he perceives as beautiful, incorporates them in creating masterpiece. Creativity is what sets apart one artwork from another. Through imagination, an artist is able to craft something bold, something new, and something better in the hopes of creating something that will stimulate change. So, expression individualizes the artist, while description destroys the idea of expression. So, the forms of art expression are visual arts, film, performance art, poetry performance, dance, architecture, literary arts, theater arts, and applied arts. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.